Who better than me?
Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to the Hardcore Casual with your boy, Base the Kid. I want to say thank you to everyone who's tuned into episode 1 so far. It was fun to do. If you saw all the outtakes, you'll know it was a whole heap of stress, but got there in the end. As I said before, things are going to change. I'm going to, be improving things, trial and error. So, bear with me first couple of weeks. I'm going to get it right. But if you could all like and subscribe, sort of help the channel grow and just follow me along this journey while I just give my honest opinions on what's going on in the game. Truly appreciate it. With that being said, there's been a couple of things that have happened over the last couple of days I definitely want to address and touch on, so let's get into it. So I want to start talking about Oscar Valdez failing a test before his fight on the 10th of September. Now, I'm actually real disappointed in this. Not even necessarily disappointed in him, but just the fact that fight's now most likely going to get called off. And I was looking forward to seeing that fight. I like watching Oscar Valdez. He's value for money, highly entertaining, puts on good scraps. But you fail the test. Something ain't right. So now, there's two issues with that. Outside of failing the test, of course. Like, that's an issue in itself. But, number one, that taints the Botch victory. Because now we don't know, was he on something when he put on that masterclass and so far the knockout of the year? Because I still ain't seen a knockout better than that yet. Second thing it poses is now you have to ask more questions about the Reynoso camp. You had Canelo with his issues, and I'm a huge Canelo fan. So I say this in no way to try and, tear down his legacy or his boxing ability or whatever. I think he's amazing. But I'm not blind. Like, that happened. He was jumping up and down weight classes for like the last 5-6 years. From 155 to 158 to 164, back down to 160, down to 154, back up to 155, 160, 175, down to 168. All these different weights that is happening. And it's not hindering his performances. So that's something you have to look at. You got Ryan Garcia. He went there as a pudgy teenager, turned into an Adonis overnight. I don't know. Okay, Andy Ruiz. What did he drop? Like 60, 70 pounds? My man's got definition now. Probably in places he didn't even realize he had places before. Questions have to be asked. If one person fails a test, then that's on them. But when multiple people from the same gym, the same environment start failing tests, all of a sudden it becomes less about them and more about the environment they're in. So right now, I don't know how I feel. I don't know how I'm looking at that situation. Very reminiscent of the Dominic Ingle gym over here. Multiple fighters have failed tests from that gym over the years. Now, yeah, you could always say it's them. It's nothing to do with anyone else. It's them. It's their choice. Yeah, it could be. But when you got so many from one place, as I said, it's got to be a culture of that place. It's got to be. But I don't really want to get into the particulars about that. That's not what I'm here for today. I just know I'm waiting to see that fight. I'm not going to see that fight, more than likely. So, I'm not best pleased. And Valdez, and whatever happens to Valdez moving forward, him and his team, they brought it on themselves. So it is what it is. We move on to the next subject. So the DAZN announced that they raising their prices from the introductory fee of $1.99 to $7.99 a month. And I think that's going to be taking effect from the 30th of September all the way up, I think, until the 4th of November for the migration period. I don't exactly know how it's working. What's my thoughts on that? Well, look, we all knew that the price hike was coming, so I don't necessarily have a problem with the increase. I don't even have a problem with it being $7.99, because that's still cheaper than quite a few things. But the issue I do have is they've announced the price hike before we've got the entire full schedule to know whether that price is now going to be value. Because at $1.99, let's be honest, it didn't matter how many cards came out, whether it was one card a month, even if there was maybe one card every 4 or 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, like, it's $1.99, it's £2, it's what the cost of a Savers menu burger in McDonald's or something, times 2. So it wasn't really a big deal. You get to £8 now. Okay, so I'm paying £8. What am I paying for? So you got Lara versus Warrington coming up this weekend. Good scrap. But that's still under the $1.99 banner. Because that doesn't, you're not paying $7.99 for that. Okay. You got the October 9th card in Liverpool. I don't know if I want to pay $7.99 for that by itself, but alright, cool, because the first fight on there, can't really complain too much. It is what it is. But what's the rest of the content? Like, what else in terms of the boxing? Because that's what we're being marketed on. We're not being marketed on all the rest of the, the originals and the women's UEFA. Like, that's not what we've been marketed into. We're marketed strictly on the boxing at this moment. So where's the rest of the schedule to make me say that I'm happy to spend £8 a month right now? Can't see it. I personally think what they probably should have done, considering that they've literally increased the price by 4 times what it was before. If it was me, I would have changed it to $4.99 until the end of the year, but informed people that at the end of the year it was going to increase to the new price, which would have been $7.99. But I would have also not given the price point until I've rolled out the entire schedule moving forward. That to me would have made a lot more sense, because right now you're promising me value for money, but I can't see what you're promising. So if I can't see it, I don't feel comfortable about it. If I can see the rollout, see the amount of fight cards you got left in both the UK and the US, cool. Alright, yeah, you can have the $7.99. I don't even feel a way about it. Right now, while I'm still happy in myself to give you the $7.99, I can't look at that and say, well, I'm getting this, that, and I don't even know what I'm getting. You say I'm getting Dillian White on the 30th of October. Cool. But it says opponent to be confirmed. Dillian's already been running around saying for the last 3-4 months that he wants a softer touch. He's been having hard fight after hard fight after hard fight. He wants a softer touch. So you want me to pay $7.99 for a softer touch? For what's likely to be a non-competitive bout as the headliner? Well, what other cards are you putting on? What else is there for me to get interested and invested in and excited about right now? And that's my issue. The price hike is fine in itself, because we all knew it wasn't going to stay at $1.99, and ultimately $7.99 isn't a terrible thing, but you've done this without showing me what I'm paying for. When I pay for my Disney Plus subscription, I pay for my Netflix subscription, I can see everything that's on there. I know exactly what's coming down the pipeline. My Amazon Prime, obviously I use that. I buy a lot of stuff from Amazon, next day delivery. The streaming app is a bonus to me. Everything else, calm. Even the WWE Network, I know every month I'm getting 2 pay-per-views every single month. Plus I'm getting all the old stuff that I used to grow up on when I was younger, and all the NXT programming weekly. So it's action upon action upon action. Like, I know what I'm getting for the money that I'm spending. At this point in time, on the DAZN app, I don't know what I'm getting moving forward, and they don't even keep all the old stuff that they had before. It's not even all on there. Some of the old fight nights, you can't even watch the entire fight night anymore. You might be able to watch one match from that fight card. So all that's happening, you've taken the money, but you ain't delivering me anything else yet. So right now, like I said, while I personally am happy to pay the $7.99, because I knew it was going to increase, I'm just not happy with the way they handled that rollout, and they're gonna have to work on that moving forward, and probably make things a bit more palatable and sensible to the fans. Because again, regardless of whether it's only $7.99, you've still increased it by 4 times what it was before in one go, with no schedule to show anyone. So that in itself, I say DAZN, I like you, I'm keeping the app, but you need to do better. So I definitely want to address the Sky rollout that happened earlier on today, or yesterday, depending on when you see this, but either way, we're talking about Wednesday. Well, they're already in danger of losing the first part of that rollout if the Valdez and Conceição fight ends up getting scrapped because of the failed test. The next card, obviously, it's the big one. It's AJ versus Usyk. It's going to be a great fight. I'm looking forward to it. I will be buying the pay-per-view, even though I'm not happy with the undercard, but I don't want any streaming issues when that main event's going ahead, because I know that's gonna be a very intriguing fight. But the undercard's total trash, apart from one fight, which is Callum Smith versus Castillo. That's the only fight on the undercard that gives me any intrigue whatsoever. The rest of it, garbage. And for the chances of what, $24.95, maybe even $29.95, because this is AJ's last fight under the current deal, so they're gonna try and maximize the money more than likely. I'm not gonna be happy to part with £30 or even £25, to be fair. And the joke is, Eddie Hearn's not gonna do his usual, revving up of the fight and promoting heavily, because he doesn't work with Sky anymore. So he's not gonna openly do loads of promotion to bring loads of attraction to their platform, knowing that he's going back to the zone straight after. I don't know. Maybe I've got a suspicion that he purposely made this undercard trash to spite Sky, because obviously he's with DAZN, so his allegiance is to DAZN. He doesn't want to give Sky the greatest of content. So speculation, I've got nothing to base that on, but just looking at it, I've seen him stack AJ undercards a lot better than this in the past. But anyway, so then we get the Wasserman and the boxer stuff. So you got Chris Eubank Jr. now is a Sky Sports boxer, supposed to be Sky Sports box office at the end of the year. I watched one of his interviews a little earlier on. He said he was suffering from COVID. So this Sven guy, whatever his name is, Sven Ibeer or whatever, I've never heard of him. I'm sorry, I don't know his record. He's definitely falling on the casual side of me. I've not watched much of any Wasserman promotions previously. But I'm going to give Eubank Jr. some slack. I'm going to cut him some slack. I wouldn't normally, but he's had a tough time, you know. If he did have the COVID, that's one thing. Got to shake that off, make sure you're okay. Obviously, stuff that happened with his brother, you know. So condolences to that. So I get it. And that card, there's some alright stuff on it, I suppose. I can't really complain too tough. The Avanesian and Liam Taylor fight should be a decent little scrap. The following week, I'm actually interested in that a little bit because Hughie Fury against Christian Hammer is probably the best non-world class fight he's having. And that's kind of what has always been the issue with Hughie Fury. Both myself and Ade before used to say his biggest problem is he will just fight journeyman after journeyman after journeyman, jump in with an elite fighter, come up short, get beat, and then rather than going down the levels to step up to somewhere that you can kind of see where he's going to be or what level he's really at, fighting someone, say, in the top 20, top 25, top 30, you go back to fighting someone in the top 200, the top 150, maybe if we're lucky, the top 60, before jumping straight back into a world-class fight, getting beat again and repeating the cycle. On this occasion, Christian Hammer's actually pretty credible. Yeah, he's durable. He's a tough night's work for most people. He doesn't get stopped that often. This is actually like a top 30 level opponent. You kind of see where you are. You build on this one, build again, and then finally hopefully get yourself to another world title shot once you've had those building fights. So I'm quite looking forward to that. The Savannah Marshall fight, I mean, I don't know the opponent, but I'm assuming another knockout's coming because that girl's got hands, and I'm looking forward to it. The boxer schedule, not the schedule, my apologies, I'm talking about the lineup. Chris Eubank Jr., well, I mean, his stock kind of went down even further than it already was after the Marcus Morrison fight. So, I mean, he's not really a bankable star that you can really market your pay-per-view platform around, but okay. Savannah Marshall, I like that one. Clarissa Shields, as annoying as she can be, I like the fact that she's signed up with them because ultimately we want to see the Marshall versus Shields fight, and at some point next year, I reckon at least now we're going to get that because they're both under the same banner, so that's good. You got the ESPN stuff, so obviously you got Josh Taylor as well. He's going to be fighting at the end of the year. I'll be looking forward to that, even though realistically Jack Catterall's going to get battered. Like, I don't even really see it being that competitive, but it is what it is. In terms of their lineups, I'm actually more impressed with the female roster they've brought out than the actual men, because the majority of the men, there's a few, obviously I know several of them off the top of my head right now. I don't have it in front of me, but I remember the female. I know April Hunter, she's going to be a problem moving forward. Obviously Savannah, as I said, monster, got hands. Clarissa, as much as you may not like her as a person, extremely talented boxer, like probably definitely one of the best in the women's division, like top 3 currently, like without question. There's no disputing that. Then you've even got Ebony Jones. Now that one kind of took me by surprise, and the funny thing about Ebony Jones is I think that acquisition is a direct challenge to Eddie Hearn, because Ebony Jones used to beat up Shannon Courtney in the amateurs, like, for fun. And you know, you can probably find that footage online. I have seen a couple of little situations between the two of them before, and I think there's been a lot of almost sly petty shots from Sky to Eddie Hearn with the lineup. And hearing some of Adam Smith's interviews post Matchroom, he's definitely moving like a jilted lover. He's had his heart broken and he's just lashing out in the most professional way possible. It's quite funny to watch. I even saw an interview with Johnny Nelson earlier. He almost looks a little deflated. He's like, well, we don't need a front person anymore, but whoever the front person is, now it's just about the boxers. That's never what he was saying before. So, you know what? I mean, ultimately, what I will say is I'm happy that we have more competition, more platforms for people to get out. I don't know how I'm going to feel about having to pay the pay-per-views again in that sense, but from what I know, DAZN's going to have some kind of pay-per-view attachment to their model moving forward, and just going to have to deal with that, I guess. But yeah, the more boxing I can consume, the more fight cards I have a choice to watch, the more women get opportunities. I'm all for it. So let the wars begin. I just hope that Sky Sports don't turn into the PBC of the UK. And I'll save that talk for another time because this video is probably a lot longer than I wanted it to be. But yeah, let's like I said, let's just hope that they at least play with others. Play with the BT Sports guys, play with the DAZN guys, Mick Hennessy on Channel 5, and we just have all the best fighting the best. That's all I want. But anyway, it's another episode down. Thanks very much if you made it to the end. If you haven't, don't worry, I don't blame you. But if you could, like I said, like and subscribe on your way out. Help the channel, help me out, and I will catch you on the next one.